Hey YouTube, in this video I'm going to break down 20 years of my best business advice in 45 minutes. Stay tuned, get a pen, get a pad and buckle up because this could be game changing for you. And I'm going to show you everything that I know about building a 7-figure business so that you can do the same and you can do it time and time again. So how did I get to building a successful 7-figure business? 3 different times. Well, number one is I started off at 17 and I started coaching children, initially football in schools. I eventually turned that into an education company and I transitioned it from £30, what I was initially generating, to a £3 million recurring revenue business by the age of 25, and I was able to scale that business significantly before selling it when I was 34. And then I retired, I invested in a number of different properties, etc., decided to chill out and just enjoy my life. And then lots of people started asking me questions on Instagram, on YouTube. Hey Jazz, can you help me with this? Can you give me this piece of business advice? What would you do in this situation? And lots of them were saying, hey, can you run a program on this? Because I was sharing some nuggets on Instagram at the time. And then eventually in 2020, I ran my first program just for a bit of fun, see how it would go. And in essence, we had 30 people on that program. Several of them went on to make up to £30,000 in a 3-week program itself, and several others made tens of thousands of pounds as well. At that point, I thought, Jazz Rose, you've got something here. You've helped a lot of people and you want to help way more people. So let's start running programs, which I started to do. And I did that successfully as well. And here we are today, having helped over 1,000 entrepreneurs to scale their business to 6 and some to 7 figures, who have done so with grace, efficiency, and effectiveness. So that should give you a little bit of context and background on me, and I'm going to give you some real game-changing advice in this video. So I want you to stay tuned. And by the way, some of the best tips and nuggets are right at the end, so you don't want to miss out on those as well. So point number 1 is to create a premium value offer. What is a premium value offer? That is an offer that adds way more value to your clients and adds significantly more value to your profitability. I always say to my clients, and I said this to one of my clients, Shola, who went from 5 grand a month to 80 grand a month, and one of the things that really resonated with her that I'll share with you is I said, if you want to double the price of whatever you do, you have to 4x the value. Why? Because people are never going to exchange something that is worth what they're paying for. They've got to perceive it as, at least, and it's got to be more valuable than what they pay. So once you create that dynamic exchange where they can definitely see that what you have to give is way more valuable than what they have to pay, then customers are much more likely to buy, they're much more likely to get enrolled, and they're much more likely to get success from whatever it is that you're doing. Whether you're doing a done-for-you service, a coaching service, a mentoring service, or a product service, or anything in between. And the way that you create a premium value offer is, I'll walk you. When I used to run a company called JNC Education, which was initially sports coaching in primary schools, and as we scaled that business up, I just realized I got to a point where I was booked and busy. Initially, I was just doing after school clubs, and then I started doing PE lessons, and I wrote a letter to actually several of the schools that we were working in at one time, and I said, hey, would you mind if we came in and delivered your PE? I said it more eloquently than that, obviously, but basically I said, would you mind if we came in and delivered your PE? Would love to do a demo for you, and if it's good, then we can do it on a long-term basis. 3 of those schools then said, yes, we want you, Jazz, for full-time PE. I was like, cool, but I can't be in 3 schools at the same time. So what I did was I then brought on Chris, I brought on Peter, and another chap called Roger, and I said, hey, these are going to be your 3 coaches. And then that business started to scale, and then we got a number of different coaches working in, and at the time, when I was about 24, 25, we had about maybe 35, possibly even 40 schools that we were working in delivering PE and after school clubs. So what's this got to do with a premium value offer? Well, 2 levels. First level was we went from doing after school clubs to doing a full school day. So the first level of the premium value offer was we went from doing just the after school clubs to doing a full school day. So that's a way of adding more value, isn't it? Because we're there for a longer period of time, helping more children get higher level results, building their confidence, their creativity, their critical thinking, etc. So you've got to start to create and consider now, how can you add even more value to your clients? So point number 1 was deliver a longer range in the service. And then point number 2 was, when we got to a certain level, lots of schools were actually, we were in schools, delivering the PE, and then we would exchange the students, if you like, with a music teacher or a Spanish teacher or something like that. And schools were looking at me and they were like, how come your PE teacher is keeping the children in line and the music teacher, the children are just running a complete muck? At the time, I was like, oh, cool, well, we might be able to find you a music teacher. If we did, would that be something that you're open to? And they're like, yeah, sure, bring them along. And guess what? It took us a year and a half to actually find a really good music teacher because we just weren't in that space and we were putting out ads and stuff like that and they weren't quite the right fit. So after that year and a half though, we found a really good one. Her name was Melissa. She was great. And then she would write the curriculum for all of the other music teachers that came after her. And it was brilliant. So then we created a music curriculum. We created a French curriculum. We created a Spanish one, a drama one, an art one, even an ICT. I know nothing about ICT, but guess what? I had a good brand. I had a good reputation. I had a good system of how we were going to systemize and structure the lessons. And then the colleagues would come in and fill that in. Gabriel created the French plans, someone else created the Spanish plans, and I co-created it with them in terms of our culture, our organizational structure and stuff. And away we went. And that's really what took us from an average client value of around £35,000 a year per client to more like an average client value of around £100,000 per year. Why? Because we were able to create a premium value offer. We were able to add more value to the schools. They had one invoice to pay. They had one company to deal with. They didn't have any additional recruitment or any agency fees that they needed to pay. And it was one company in-house coming to deliver all of their kind of like non-core curriculum, all of their creative curriculum for them. So it was brilliant for them, great for us. And some schools that we were able to then create contracts which are worth up to about £200,000 a year. And some of those contracts were literally worth over £1 million to our company because we worked with those schools for 5, 7, and sometimes in some cases 10 years plus. So that's the sort of magnificence and transformation that can happen when you start to create a premium value offer. One of my clients, Ricardo, created a premium value offer. He's a software consultant and he was making about 25 grand a month when he met me in around May last year, I believe it was. And what happened was I started to look at his business. I started to ask him questions, and I want you to think about these questions for your business right now. I started to say, what value do you add to the customers? What's the biggest result that you've achieved for a customer? And he told, oh yeah, I helped ClearScore create this amount of millions of pounds. I was like, what? And you're charging them like 5 grand? I said, no, charging them like 5 grand a month. I said, no. I said, stop that. Charge a much higher level and really start to demonstrate, punch in the messaging on what you're actually creating in terms of value for the customer. Because if he was able to then engage 200,000 of their members, that creates 200,000 of their members on the site paying their subscriptions every month. That's actually creating over £150,000 a month for ClearScore, in some cases like millions of pounds for the company. So it's kind of like, hey, if we're gonna help you to generate an extra £600,000 a month through implementing our software solutions, would it be fair to pay us 60? Yeah, absolutely. And then the next contract that you got, it was 60 grand a month, ended up being over £720,000 a year. He became a millionaire overnight in some speak, some would say. He became a millionaire, bought his mum her dream house, and did so many amazing things. Every time we have an academy event, Ricardo turns up in a brand new luxury car, some sort of Lamborghini, some sort of fresh Porsche, cars with the doors going up, and all of that great stuff. But what a phenomenal guy, and what a transition that not only I can make, but someone like him can make. A 30-year-old, what was he, 30 years young at the time? Absolutely amazing. And I've seen this transition so many times, simply by starting to identify what value do you bring to customers right now and where can you add more value. And if you're asking yourself, but Jazz, like, how do I know like where the value is and how I can help them even more? Here's the answer. Ask them. Hey, how can we add even more value to you? Hey, how would you grade our service right now on a scale of 1 to 10? Oh, 7? Oh, amazing. Thank you so much for the feedback. How can we get that to a 10? And by the way, what else are you doing in your business right now that's going really well? Ah, phenomenal. You're doing that. And what challenges are you facing? What areas do you need a little bit more support? Ah, brilliant. If we can provide that solution for you, would that be something that you're open to? Yeah, sure. Bang, bang, bang. And then all of a sudden, you create one remarkable transformation for one customer, and then you know knows that it works, and then you roll it out to all of your other customers, and boom shakalaka, you're in the money, baby. It will literally 4x your business if and when you do it well. I remember, literally, we went to one school and we started to do music, and at that time we were probably in about 30, 40 schools. We started to do music, and we just emailed all the other schools and said, hey, we've got a really successful music curriculum, we've got really good things going over here, hey, would love to deliver a music demo lesson for your school because this teacher's available, bang. And then we started to pick up music contracts like that, bang. And the same for art, same for drama, same for French, Spanish, and whatever else. Which brings me on to point number 2. And point number 2 is to advertise yourself via video. So when we did it, when we had good lessons going on, we would film the lessons, and then we would message those out in emails and other advertising campaigns that we were running at the time. And by the way, I started my first business when I was 17. So we didn't have, well, we had it, but social media wasn't popular back then. So we would have to send this stuff out by email. You have the greatest gift right now. You have social media, you have YouTube, you have everyone knowing what Zoom is. Zoom, what was that 10, 15 years ago? Nobody knew what it was, okay? And if you told a head teacher about Zoom or Meet Me Online, you'd run them off frightened, okay? So you've got a great opportunity right now to advertise via video. And I know some of you are scared. And you're like, yeah, but video it's not really a thing in my industry. That's exactly why you need to do it, because it will help you to stand out above the crowd. It will help you to stand out above your competitors, and it will help you to create significantly more cash flow for you and for your business. So let me give you an example of how this worked. The schools were non-territorial. They were very not, used to video and all of this sort of stuff. But we would film small clips of our lessons, and we'll say, hey, this is how we deliver an engaging warm-up. Hey, this is how we deal with challenging behavior. Hey, this is how we deal with when children have conflict issues or when there's a disagreement. This is how we deal with it. And we will show them all of these little snippets, and they will go, wow. So when we said, hey, we're coming into this area to do a demo lesson, they were like, yep, we're in, because we built trust. Before they get to work with you, write this down. This is critical. Before they get to work with you, your clients must already know who you are, what you do, and how you help. The more they know who you are, what you do, and how you help, then the easier the sale becomes, and the faster you will be able to make money faster than you've possibly made before. And if you're finding any of this valuable, by the way, and you're thinking, but Jazz, I would love you to help me to create a premium value offer for my business so that I can 4x it and maybe become a millionaire, multi-millionaire like many of your most successful clients, then go ahead, tap the link below, book a call with me personally, and let's walk through what you're doing right now and see how we can best possibly help you to scale your expert business. So, creating video, and this is exactly what one of my clients, Sabrina, did. I was talking to Sabrina yesterday at one of the Academy masterminds that I run, and one of the biggest transitions that she made from going from $1.5 grand a month to 60 grand a month over the last 2 months since joining our program was this. Before, she said, hey, I was just telling people to book a call and pay £50 for my one-on-one advice, and I said, no, scrap that, don't do that. They've got to know, like, and trust you first, so build that know, like, and trust up through video. She did that. She made that transition along with several other small tweaks, but made a massive change. And then she was able to generate £19,000 in our 3-day event. And then she went on to make £60,000 a month. I tell you now, small hinges swing big doors. So if you're getting value from this video, please do write this stuff down, take action on it, because I want you to make money, and I want you to make more money than you've made before so that you can grow and scale your business and do really successful and amazing things. Point number 3 is sell it first, create it second. Write that down. Sell it first, create it second. What do I mean? I see so many entrepreneurs make this mistake. They're like, oh, I'm like, how much money have you made this month? It's like, oh, it's the same as last month. Like, why? Well, have you not made the changes? Have you not sold more stuff yet? They're like, no, I'm working on a website, or no, I'm working on this new business plan, or no, I'm working on, this operational CRM and functionality system to make it all right and tight and beautiful and pretty. And I said, no. Dan Martell is a phenomenal entrepreneur from the US, and he says this. He wrote a brilliant book, by the way, called Buy Back Your Time. Go and buy it. It's a phenomenal game changer. He says this: business is made when a transaction and a sale is complete. So that's how you start a business, and that's how you get started before scaling it. So many people are like, oh my goodness, but I've got to get everything right and tight before I get going. No. Sell it first. I remember one of the first times that I sold something on Instagram. It was a business tracker which tracks your business finances on a monthly basis. And I was sharing on Instagram, showing people how I was tracking my business finances and the tool that I was using. And then someone reached out and said, hey, can I buy this? And before I went, oh, hang on a minute, I need to get a checkout account. Hang on a minute, I need to get it right. I need to make it perfect. I was like, yeah, send me 20 quid and I'll send it to you. I sent him my bank details, he sent me 20 quid, I created a template version, I sent it to him, I was like, oh, that worked, that was cool. And then I started selling it again and again and again and again, until I had probably made about 300-400 quid from it. And then that's when I created a landing page, probably cost me about 99 quid, and I created a few other assets to be able to sell it more seamlessly, such as a Stripe account and all of that other stuff. So you don't need to have everything in place. And by the way, I don't want you to have everything in place before you get going. iPhone, for crying out loud, doesn't have the product perfect before they start pitching it and before they start selling it to customers. Why? Because when you sell it first, you start to create momentum. When I created my first money mastery program back in 2020, the one where several people went on to make £30,000 in 3 weeks, I started that selling it in August, and I said, hey, I'm running this program in October, and it's going to help you to grow your income, grow your business. It's going to help you to invest your money more successfully, become financially free, and do all of these amazing things. Buy it now before the spaces run out. And at this point in August, I didn't have the curriculum complete. I had an outline, but that was about it, right? But when 30 people had paid me to come onto the program, what did that do? That gave me an impetus to go, right, you've got to make this course bloody brilliant, and you've got to make sure that these people get their money's worth. So when you sell it first and then create it after people have paid, it gives you impetus and momentum to create something really valuable. And I'm saying that with the genuine intent and understanding and clarity that, of course, you're a good human being and you do good things with your business and you're actually adding value to other people, of course. Okay, so when I started JNC, for example, the first lesson plans that I created, I literally wrote stuff down on a piece of paper. This is what I did for the warm-up, this is what I did for the cool-down, this is what I did in the middle, and then I would literally rip out a piece of paper, photocopy it, and then give it to 2 or 3 of my other teaching members who were also delivering the same thing and say, hey, this week 2, deliver that. And then over time, once we started to get good at it and it started to become more popular, we started to make more money, that's when we were able to create resources and create things that were really able to stand out. I don't have the PE one here, but then we started to create things into books that people can buy and other assets that add way more value to the business. I can't stress it enough, the importance of creating assets for your business. This is what I talk about, creating videos, because videos, you can create them one time and they can pay you for a lifetime. Sometimes I wake up, I look at my Stripe account and people have paid for a video program, Money Mastery Online, that I've created 4 years ago. So assets, sometimes like people buy this book still today from schools mainly, etc., because it's an old book, but still, I still get paid for that. Okay, and it still adds value to the marketplace. You must create assets in your business. Point number 4. This is absolutely crucial. If you get it wrong, your business is burnt, your business is dead, it's absolutely toast. Don't miss it. Pay attention right now. And it is to make sure that you track your profitability every single month. And I know that sounds incredibly simple, but I know a lot of you creatives, especially if you're like me, you're like creative, you're a designer or you're a marketing person and making your service really, really sensational. Like, you've got to pay attention to the numbers. Now, I hate maths, but I had to learn to like it. I like business. So if I like business, I've got to get good at the numbers. I've got to get like tight on where the profitability lines are. You know, not revenue, but what percentage are you generating in profit, and how much are you spending on your marketing? What percentage of your budget is that? Is that 20%, 30%? What's happening in there? Like, if you spend an extra 10%, would that give you more sales? Like, how much are you spending on your team? Is every member of your team highly valuable? Are they profitable to the business? Okay, cool, you've got 15 members of the team right now, but what if you had 12? Would that actually, and saved an extra 6 grand a month or an extra 25 grand a month? Like, what would that do for your business? Would that increase it or decrease it? All of these numbers are are important, and you have to know them, you have to track them, which is why I created the business tracker, because once you can identify that, you can start to see the profitability lines and the patterns of behavior of what happens in your business. As a simple example, okay, if you take your marketing spend up from 10% of the revenue to 15% of the revenue, what does that actually do to the profitability? Does it increase it by an additional 15-20%? Because if it does, then you better spend more money on your marketing. So these kind of decisions really make a massive difference to your business, and you've got to pay attention to it. And the reason that I created the business tracker was because years ago, I must have been about 29, maybe 30 years old, and my finance controller called me into the office, and like I was at this point, I was almost exited the business. Like I didn't need to go in. I would go in once or twice a week. I had 3 directors on staff, and like I was kind of just like overseeing the business rather than being in it. It was a super cool place to be. But then I got this call and she was like, yeah, we can't make payroll. I was like, what the fuck? Like, what? We can make payroll. But then I was like, no. You've got to, like, this is your business. You've got to take control of those numbers, and you're the one that's got to be able to make decisions based on those numbers. And if you don't understand something, Jazz, that's your responsibility. You've got to make sure that you understand it, which is exactly why, because like when I used to get the financial reports, I don't know about you, but when I used to get the financial reports from accountants and stuff like that, I used to look at it, not fully understand it, which is why the business tracker that I created has all of these colors on it. So it's red if it's unprofitable, it's green if it's good, all of that sort of stuff. So it just creates a real visual flow for me, which makes it easier for me to understand and easier for me to digest, and therefore easier to make really profound and smart business decisions. So go ahead, make sure that you schedule a date in your diary every single month to check your financials, go through it for at least 30 to 45 minutes, and then make really powerful decisions from there. Talking about powerful decisions, let me give you one of the most powerful decisions that you can make in terms of transitioning your business from where it is to where it's going to be. And I'm going to give you two levels and layers to this. Watch this. Number one, write this down. Hire based on culture, not based on skill. Hire on culture, not based on skill. Why? Because you can train the skill, but you can't train the culture. It's really, really difficult. Like if someone comes into your business with a bad attitude, oh my goodness, that's going to create a negative seed which drip feeds into every other human being, every other human interaction that comes into your business. It's going to have a negative effect and impact on your clients. It's going to have a negative impact on your retention. It's going to have a negative impact on your recruitment and on people that are already in your business. So here's something that I started to do many years ago that really made a difference, and every time I've not done this, it's like been an absolute somewhat of a level of disaster. So here's what to do. Every time you interview someone, yeah, you can interview them formally and kind of get key criteria and all of that sort of stuff down, performance grades. When you recruit people, by the way, give them a grade on a scale of 1 to 10 so that your recruitment process is systematic and it can be repeated time and time again. The second thing is, the most important thing is, take them out of the office and have them in a relaxed scenario. Maybe you take them to Top Golf, or possibly bowling, or drinks with the team, or a casual dinner or a lunch somewhere with other members of the team. Why? Because you've got to see their attitude. You've got to see what their human personality is like. You're not buying into the numbers and the data and the experience of the person. You've got to actually like them, and most importantly, they've got to fit in with the culture of the business. Do they open doors for people? Do they pick up rubbish when they walk past rubbish on the floor, or do they just walk past it? Are they nice to the waitresses? Are they pleasant to other people around them? Do they ask good questions? Are they funny? Are they interacting with the team? Does this person get on with that person? Do they connect? Do they vibe together? All of these things have a massive impact, because the worst thing that you want to be is the babysitter in your business, like babysitting staff. Don't do it. Avoid it by getting people in good social environments first before you hire them, because you get a much better understanding of their personality test. One of my mentors really recommends this, which is also to do personality testing based on each person that comes in, which is really, really a smart thing to do actually, because then you know what kind of profile each person is. Okay, okay, cool, this is a dominant person, this is more of an influential person, and then it kind of ensures that you've got a good blend and a good harmony throughout your team. Because imagine if you've got 10 people in your team and they're all dominant. Fuck, your business is finished. You're gonna be just like arguing all day, all week, okay? So you've got to have a good, nice blend between, you know, the compliant person and knowing how to deal with those kind of characters as well is really, really powerful, because you've got to learn to manage each character type in a slightly different way that is going to be most impactful for the business. Like the dominant person, who probably doesn't give a toss if you start swearing in meetings and go, hey, we need to fucking do, like, probably not going to care about it. They're probably going to drive them. But for the compliant person, they might be thinking, oh, hang on a minute, you know, this is not the place where I want to be. So you want to be really, really intricate and sensible and smart about those kinds of things. And if you're finding any of this valuable, by the way, and you're thinking, but Jazz, I would love you to help me to create a premium value offer for my business so that I can Forex it and maybe become a millionaire, multi-millionaire like many of your most successful clients, then go ahead, tap the link below, book a call with me personally, and let's walk through what you're doing right now and see how we can best possibly help you to scale your expert business. Number 6 is one of my favorites. Number 10 is my absolute favorite, and it's probably made my clients the most money out of all of the tips that I'm going to share with you. But number 6 is one that I absolutely love because it changed my life, and that is to get new friends. I say that with no hesitation and no reservation. Here's why. Because I grew up in one of the most challenging neighborhoods, NW10, in London. And like, there was amazing things that grew up that happened around Harlesden, but I got to a level in my business where I was turning over around about £1 million a year at 25. And like, when my friends would say, hey Jazz, like, how's your day been? I'd be like, oh man, it's been tough. I had to let go of a couple of people today, or I had this business challenge. I remember one time my sister had paid somebody 10 grand that was pretending to be me on email, and I lost 10 grand just like that, out the business, gone. And I was like, what? That's crazy. That's a bit of a side note. I didn't plan to tell you that, but it just popped into my mind. And I was like, what? We just lost 10 grand. And I was telling my friends these kind of challenges that I was facing, but they wouldn't have any solutions on how to solve them. They'd never experienced it. Like, hey man, I just finished checking out the tills at Tesco. Like, I don't know. Like, best of luck to you, you know. And it's not that they weren't supportive, they were, but they just didn't have solutions to my challenges. So when I started to go to mentoring programs and events, I started to meet new people. If you want to find out how to, people always say, Jazz, how do you get around good people? Go to events. Go to events where they're going to be. Other words, learning events. Like, I can't tell you the amount of business partnerships, relationships that have been built from people coming to our 3-day events and our training days and stuff like that. Just networking and building good connections with good people, and the amount of friendships that you can create through there is untold. So one of the transitions that happened for me was, I think I was thinking about 31, maybe 32. Around that age, and I went on this program and I met this guy, and he was super cool. He was a little bit younger than me. He was like 29 at the time, and he was telling me about all these amazing cars that he had. He took me around in his Porsche and all of this sort of stuff, and I was like, this guy's really fly. He's really young. And he was like, how many businesses you got? And I was like, well, 2, and they're kind of intertwined into one. And then he was like, oh yeah, I've got like 8 businesses. I've got this film and media thing going on. I've got this going on. I've got this I was like, whoa, what's happening here? This is incredible. And it just opened my eyes and opened my perspective to all of the other things that I could possibly create. And I remember one time I was living in a 3-bed house in Norfolk at the time. At 3-bed, which I transitioned into a 4, which is doing okay, like a semi-detached. And he said, yeah, come to my 30th birthday party. So I went to his 30th birthday party, pulled up at his house about 4 months after I'd met him. And I literally sat there in my BMW X6, and I just like looked at the size of the house for about 15 minutes. Nodding my head like this. How on earth does a 30-year-old afford a massive detached house like this? That was the question I was asking myself for 30 minutes before I walked inside. And do you know what happened? Literally 12 to 15 months later, I was living in my version of his house. Literally, like that. Because I was now around minds that were already doing things that I had thought about doing for a long time, but I had held back on, because I was at the top of my tree. I was ahead of my peers. I was like the main successful guy in my community, so to speak. And I felt like, well, if I go further, like, why would I need to go further? I'm cool where I am. And comfort is the killer of creativity. So don't let comfort kill your creativity and slow you down. Get around new minds, new inspirations, new figureheads that have done the things that you want to do. And then I bought my dream house, 5 beds attached, all of that amazing stuff. And I just started to, and that's the transition where I was like, you know what? I don't need this old business I had. I was like, I don't need it anymore. It's done what I needed it to do. If I sell it, I'm going to create a lot of money from it, and I can just do the things that I really want to do. And I started to learn that from other influential people that I was around, and friends that I had met at 32. Listen to me and listen to me clear. Like, your best friends don't need to be the people that you just because you went to school with them. That means you just grew up in the same community with them. Yes, you have some synergy. Yes, you have great connections. Yes, I still speak to a lot of my old friends that I grew up with. And just because our synergy is different and our focus points are different, I just speak to them less. And that's cool, and it's perfectly okay. So start to get around new people, start to build new friendships, new relationships, get around really good mentors that can really help you to grow to the next level. I'll tell you about one of my mentors. I remember in about 2022 when I started to build the Money Mastery program, I was doing really well. I was working part-time in my business, a few days a week, a couple of mentoring calls, a couple of group sessions, stuff like that. I was chilling and I was making like 30 grand a month until I met Andy. And Andy, and Mr. Harrington, is one of my mentors. And when I went to his event, he looked at me and he said, yeah, you're doing okay, but you're helping a lot of people and I want you to play a bigger game. And he's doing this, and I'm like, yeah, all right, cool. What's the bigger game? I started playing a bigger game. I started listening to more to Andy. I invested into his premium membership, which at the time was like 35 grand, which at the time I didn't think I had. Which you never have the money. You never have the money at the time when you need to invest it. That's why you need to invest it. So I found the money, I invested the money, and then literally 3 months later, I was making an additional 30 grand a month anyway. And then I went on to make over £1 million in the next 12 to 15 months that I was working with Andy, because he took my speaking and my performance and my eloquence to a whole nother level. And I've never invested in education where it hasn't paid off for itself. Even the bad ones, even the ones that weren't good, okay? They've always paid for themselves in some way. And the worst case, you know what? You've got a phenomenal story to sell and a phenomenal process to sell. You better write that down before you catch that, okay? So mentorship is always a good idea when you're around providing. Obviously, you're around good people and you're around the right people who are in the position that you want to go, and make sure that they can teach as well. Because if they can teach and they've already done it, then you've got a good combination, okay? So that's a little side note tip for you, is make sure that you have that good combination. And as a teacher of the last 20 years, I'm kind of good at what I do. You know what I'm saying? Okay, good. So point number 7. Oh, that was point number 7. And I tell you what, one other story, even if they weren't good. So let me tell you about a guy that weren't necessarily good, who actually made me a lot of money. So I can't remember his name, and I wouldn't mention it anyway, but he was on The Apprentice. And this was back when I was maybe around 23. So what's that, like 15 years ago? Okay. And he had this thing, I think he messaged me or something like that. And he was like, yeah, I can help you to grow your business. I see that you're doing really well, and I paid him some money. I can't remember how much it was, but it was a good few grand. And I was like, 23. It was the first time I invested any kind of money in a mentor. I met him in some random coffee shop. Not a great sign. Anyway, we were talking for about 4 or 5 hours, and I was just like, God, I know all of this stuff. This is all like basic stuff he's telling me. However, he told me one thing. He gave me one idea that made a massive difference to us. He said, when you go to the schools, sometimes you're bringing in your own equipment, and that's costing you money, that's slowing you down, and sometimes you're recommending them to buy it from another provider. Cool. What you should do is get a trade discount from the provider that you're using. In our case, it was a company called Bishop Sports. Get trade price from them, and then what you can do is you can then sell it at 10% off for your clients. So we'd get it at trade price, which was about 25% off, and then we would sell it at 10% off for the clients. And what we did was very smart. We integrated it into the contract so that it wasn't even a conversation. It was like in the contract, it said something to the substantiation of, hey, we're gonna, if we find that the resources are insufficient for high quality delivery, and to ensure high quality delivery, we will order the equipment on your behalf at a 10% discount from our recommended supplier and invoice you accordingly. So it just became really easy. We'll go into a school and go, all right, you ain't got the right equipment, cool, we'll order £1,000 worth of stuff, brilliant, you get it for £900, we would pay like £750 for it or whatever it was, and then we would collect different. So it was just a really easy way to collect some side additional revenue to the business whilst also making our service provision even more valuable. So you've got to look for innovative ways, and even when mentorship isn't world class, which it wasn't in that case, it made us over the next 5 or 6 years or so, it made us way more than what we invested in the mentorship. So you've got to look at this on a long-term game as well, and not always just think about what are the quick wins. So 3 more to go, and the last one is the one where I'm going to show you how most of my clients made the most amount of money. Clients like Sabrina, who made 60 grand per month, literally having gone from almost zero in her business. Clients like Shola, who went from 5 grand a month to 80 grand a month. I'm going to show you how they did it and the mindset they had in order to achieve it, so that you can achieve the same. So number 8 is to care for your customer. I see this a lot nowadays in 2024 because businesses are growing. There's a lot of youngsters growing businesses, and I see a lot of lack of care and diligence for the customer. People are always trying to focus on how to get new customers in. But let me ask you a question. And one of my mentors, Nick James, actually taught me this. Not taught me, but kind of like opened my eyes to this insight on a deeper level. And it was, what's your retention like? Because if like getting customers is all good, but if you can keep them, if you can nurture them, if you can look after them and then get them to pay you time and time again, guess what? You want new customers, yeah, but you don't need new customers because your existing customers are continuing to work with you. So you've got to take good care of your customers and integrate that care into your processes. What does that look like? So it could be birthdays, you celebrate your birthdays, you make sure you send them gifts in the post. It could be that you do celebratory events like we run. When I was running JNC, we ran an award ceremony every single year. We would invite all of the head teachers. Head teachers are like isolated individuals. They sit in their office and they take notes and then they listen to Ofsted and they sit in their office, take notes, and they say, hey Billy, sit down, be quiet, why have you not been behaving? And then like they just sit in a bubble of their own school environment typically. So getting them out to this amazing award ceremony in a luxury hotel, meeting with other head teachers from other boroughs that they've never seen before, or maybe they've heard of but they've not quite connected with. What did that create? It creates bonds, my friend. It creates connection. And when they start to associate that connection that they've made, or that business partnership, or that relationship, or even that friendship that they've connected through you and your company, they feel a lot more tied to your company, which means that they're much less likely to leave. Or if they do leave the existing place that they're at, if you're working business to business, then they're more likely to take you with them because you've created so much value for their lives. It's the same like with our academy. When I mentor clients, we have an award ceremony every year. Why? Because it brings our community together. It helps new potential customers to see what we're doing. It helps us to celebrate their success, and it helps to retain our current customers, and also it just creates a really good vibe around your company, most importantly, because numbers and details are one thing, but also it's looking at, okay, like how do you create harmony in your business, and how do you run your business in a way which also makes money and also feels really good for you, for your customers, and for your clients as well. So one of the things to create and consider when it comes to customer feedback is like, go and ask your customers today, hey, how would you grade our service on a scale of 1 to 10? Be really honest with us. Like, what's good about the service? Where can we improve? Because if you start to address it, like there's things in your company right now that like people are getting annoyed or upset with that you're not clear on, and if you're not clear on it, then you can't freaking fix it. So go and ask the question, and then go and do it every single 3 months or 6 months in your business. So go and ask yourself the question, go and ask it every 3 months or every 6 months in your business, so that you can get good answers and so that you can be excellent service to your customers. You'll also start to find that when you ask those types of questions, hey, where can we be even better for you? I asked this to all of my clients about a month and a half, maybe 2 months ago, and got some really insightful feedback. Okay, so most of them were like, hey, everything is absolutely amazing. And then the next question is, okay, great, like who else do you know that can benefit from our expertise? When you start to integrate these questions into your marketing, into your processes in a very organic, humanistic and authentic way, you start to build really good relationships and you start to bring in new referrals, new business as well. So look into that and get started on it today. And the final one, which is this, write this down, it is success loves speed. Speed of what? Speed of thought, speed of decision, speed of action. If you're slow to the races, my friends, and you take long to make what should be quick decisions, then you're gonna slow down. And I know that there's a book called Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman. He talks about these different thinking processes for different things. Yes, there are some strategic things that you need to take time to think over, and that's why I say speed of thought, speed of decision, because most people think about stuff and they think about it for a long time, but it's ruminating in the back of their mind, but they're not actually thinking in a focused way. When you nail down, okay, should I hire this person? Okay, what are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? What's the best case scenario? What's the worst case scenario? Fine, I've now made a decision. I've made a decision based on data, and I've made a decision based upon the feeling in here as well. And I can combine those two, the logic and the emotion, in order to make a fast decision, rather than just sitting on it and going, I'll tell you what, I'll come back to it one day. Because I'll tell you what happens. When you go, I'll think about it one day or I'll come back to it, it just ruminates in your mind and it slows your brain down from being more creative. Okay, this is literally one of the biggest distinctions that has made my clients the most amount of money. It helped Ashley go from 75 grand a year to creating over £500,000 in his business. It helped Hazelia to go from under £100,000 a year to creating a £2.6 million recruitment company. It helped Sab go from a tax accountant who was making 20 grand a month to making 25 grand a month. Like, speed of thought, speed of decision, speed of action. Okay, because imagine that you've got 12 critical decisions to make a year, or imagine it takes you 30 days in order to make a critical business decision. It takes you 30 days, which means that how many decisions have you made over the course of the year? 12. But what if you can take those same decisions and you can make those decisions in a day? Well, how many actually key, competent, high quality decisions have you made across the year? 365. So who do you think is going to get better results? The person that makes 365 critical decisions, or the person that only made 12? And the person that sat on all of the other decisions that they could have made? It's definitely going to be the person who makes the most decisions, and some of those decisions ain't going to go right. But I remember a really powerful quote, and it's like, hey, the best decision is to make a decision. Either say, yes, I'm in, or no, I'm not in. And don't sit on the fence, because when you sit on the fence, it slows you down. My name's Jazz Rose. You've been absolutely amazing for sticking with us through this video. If you found it valuable and you're thinking about how can I implement some of the techniques, tactics, and maybe I can grab some of Jazz's unique experience and get more of a deep dive into my business, then go ahead, book a call with us below, and let's talk about where your business is at, where you want it to go, and how we can potentially help you to get there. My name's Jazz Rose. Subscribe to the channel, and I look forward to seeing you on the very next video.